Welcome to Team Check-In with the Camelot Kings. That, of course, is when we check in with the team. We got BIGMANTINGZ, we got CAPTAINTWIG, and we got QUIG. This was going to be a Mifflin segment, but he's lame, and I thought that I could do it just a little bit better. And because of that, you guys don't have to deal with any of his pre-approved segments. We're going to talk about, how the phase went for you, how you think you're going to be doing leading up into Worlds, things about the meta. There's some big sweeping changes if you guys missed the patch notes, which I believe were yesterday. Things of that nature, but probably makes the most sense to start with. How did this phase go for you guys? I'd say, considering you've been pretty vocal about in interviews, that this was not up to your own standards about how you guys thought you were going to perform this phase.
That's the question.
Yeah. Was this up to your own standards?
What do you think, Jordan?
I would like to use some harsh words.
That's fine.
But no, it's fine. It was a really bad phase, I think.
Okay, so really bad.
Yeah, I mean, considering what we know we can usually do.
Okay.
It was pretty poor, but
it's
fine.
Keeping that in mind, right? You've made it to this playoffs phase, which is pretty much the goal at the end of the day, right? This is where most teams, considering I've only been casting for about to be 2 years, the biggest changes that I see teams make are right now, right? Like the 2 months leading up to Worlds. This is where the grind begins as far as I'm concerned. So do you guys feel like you can take what just happened and learn from it? Or is this going to weigh on your mentals a bit?
I think that's the hope. I think that I'd like to believe, my inner narrative is that we can look at sets we got 3-0'd, we can look at terrible sets that nothing good happened, we were all over the place with our picks and drafts, and objective play was terrible, and we just fell over when we were super far behind. We didn't and just learn from it, and certain picks that we picked and valued. I'd like to think that we can look back at everything and try to make it a positive. We've fallen in these 10 areas, literally so many areas, and we can pick it up for our following match. The other thing is the whole split has been for me the worst individual play split, and it's kind of for a reason. I've had zero sleep, right. Which for my teammates I hope is kind of encouraging, that as maybe I get more sleep and their jungle stops feeding, the games start getting a bit easier. So I'd like to say that we learn from every single loss, every single bad feeling, every single time we're screw, man, we suck, that we turn it into something that we can learn from.
I mean, right, there was plenty of sets that, sure, you guys may have lost in the end, but there was definitely good things to take from it, right? And I think in a situation where the meta seemed like it was shifting for a while, it was just there's these big sweeping changes. Breastplate becomes the best item in the game. Mage solos are all the rage. If you're not building a tanky style mage, you're doing something wrong. It takes a bit to adapt to that, right? So with that being said, there's some changes coming into the future patches. I'm not sure if it's, we haven't played on it yet, so we don't know if that's going to be enough to completely just shift the way the game is played, but it's all about who can adapt quickly. And you have something like 60 something days until Worlds, and that's obviously the goal, to understand what the heck's going on by that point. If you have seen the patch notes, which I'm assuming you guys have a small bit, I actually have them up here. We can go over some of the bigger changes that I saw, but I believe the idea was, a lot of these mages are pretty strong. Warriors feel kind of bad. I guess it would have made more sense, to go over just, pointed changes in that regard. But it seems like Hunter changes are going to be a big deal. The Silver Branch buff is going to be kind of massive. A lot of, Warrior Zax, these Warrior changes are going to be different. Do you think that's enough to get, things like all these mages out of the solo lane? Is that going to change up the meta in that regard? Or is it just too early to tell? You have no idea?
I think it's too early to tell. I think the Warrior changes are kind of in the right direction, but from what it seems like right now, it doesn't really seem like mages are gone. I feel like, maybe those item changes help some specific warriors that were kind of never really picked before, kind of hop into the meta, characters that really abuse Warrior Zax. But Like, I don't know. I feel like you're gonna have a hard time fitting like a Bluestone Cucullin into a draft these days.
Yeah, I saw the buffs to Cole, and I was like, that's dope, but I don't think that's gonna be enough. It was pretty much just Ama, right? Ama and Mage, just like that. That's pretty much.
Yeah, almost like the only warrior that people were really leaning towards.
Yeah, so maybe not enough to shift too much, but I'm glad that you spoke up, because how do you feel like you've been settling into the squad? I mean, you obviously made the executive decision to leave the Hounds and join this squad. How do you feel like you've settled in with the boys?
I don't know. I like the boys. Seems like a nice team. They're chill guys. I don't know.
they seem like a nice team. It's
losing sucks, but whatever. They're a good team to lose with. That's what I'll say.
That's news to me. I think we can be miserable to lose with.
But maybe the idea is you won't lose with them any longer, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah, starting now, no more losing.
I mean, that's the mindset, right? You don't want to keep that up forever, and I assume there's going to be some groundwork put in. And you already mentioned it, losing sleep, right? It's not easy. I don't know. As far as I'm aware, are you the only dad in the league?
At the moment, yeah. I think like Prime became a dad at the end, like just before Worlds one year, and then he quit.
Right.
And maybe Stealth had a baby. I think he quit before.
Yeah, I think he might have been done before as well.
But like, it's also some copium. It's not like everything I did was overshadowed by, I have a baby, so suddenly I can't, like, I'm not going to play well. Like,
yep.
There were so many moments I could pick apart that one small difference, one like slightly different angled ability that I threw out was like would have changed the game a little bit. So I don't want to blame it on that. I don't think we're playing well as a team for a lot of full split. So
right. I mean that could be a little bit of the duel mechanics where you've been in the duel queues lately. You're missing abilities by just that little bit. I haven't seen you in the duel queues.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, the time is not. I've been playing more ranked than duel lately. So
you've been in the ranked conquest queues?
Yeah, maybe I need to get in the duel queues.
I feel like I haven't. Quig, I used to see you all the time in the ranked conquest queues. Do you still play ranked regularly? Or are you just more of a scrim demon?
No, I'm in the queues, just more low key about it.
Oh, you're right.
I'm around, but
he's low key.
He's in the he's in the shadows.
Yeah, he is always in a shadow.
I always wonder. I always assume, because there's always like a new, like, what, man, there's so many new Smurfs that come in. I'm like, that's somebody for sure. Like, Genetics has the worst Smurf names I've ever seen. Anytime I see him in my game, I just cringe. Not because of his gameplay, just because of his Smurf names. But
that too, though.
At least it's telegraphed. I'm like, oh, that's someone. You know what I mean? Because I know his name. You're telling me you could be in my queues and I would never.
Yeah, you
know.
would. No, yeah, I could be that guy that's like feeding on Yamoja. You're BMing me. You wouldn't even know. I'm sitting there. I'm like 4-4. Yeah,
I wouldn't roast a 4-4 Yamoja. I would accept that. I don't think you've seen my queues if you want to know who I've been actually roasting. It's the people that just 0-12. Like if you're 0-12, you're getting a little bit.
That's me then, QUIG.
Yeah,
probably me.
Understandable. Well, I'm glad you guys are at least, pounding the rank queues in that regard. But what about, we already talked about this a little bit, but hopefulness towards Worlds, right? There are changes that need to be made. You guys know that amongst yourself. We don't have to talk about the actual, what you need to work on. But surely there's the losing stops here mentality, right? You want to try and just pick it up and, put all of that behind you. Is it easy enough? Is it still like some negative vibes going around? Or are you guys able to shed that pretty easily?
I don't think so. I don't think there's any negative vibes. And especially when a new patch comes out too, everyone can kind of just be like, okay, new patch, new meta, let's try it, let's pick it back up again, see where we can go from here. I don't think these guys have been around forever. They've played tons of splits.
That's a good point.
I'm sure I'm a rookie, but it's like everyone kind of understands that you can't change that. We fed our brains out in fall split. We can all we can really do is just look forward and grind out as many scrims and as many ranked games as we can in the next 2 months. I
was wondering because, as you said, these guys have been around for a while. You're the new kid on campus, so to speak, and as support is a very vocal role from what I've witnessed. Is it difficult to step up and start? I mean, not commanding people, but to shot call as someone who feels like you've got a little bit less experience than everyone around you? Yeah,
it definitely feels a lot different than how I would calm on the Hounds.
Right.
Feels like the Hounds kind of we all formed around to get each other together. So
right.
We kind of had we meshed together well. The Kings kind of operate differently. They've been together for a long time before that. So I'm kind of more slotting into their system and trying to figure out where I need to be calming and where I need to be quiet and let other people take charge of a team fight, or for instance, or whatever.
So if you guys feel that same way, like if you, again, this is not to BM you in any way, but you are more new to the league. You guys hear a comm from Quig, you got to trust him, right? He's on your team. So is it like you're all sort of, working together to shot call, or is there times when you just got to like shut up and just let, Twig shot call or let Quig shot call? Does that come easy to you?
I think it is hard. I think it's partly hard because of the way Genetics would come. He was a good shot caller, or like just a good, like he was a good, made better calls than not. Right. But he had this way of
such an overwhelming,
his way of the highway kind of mentality.
And I think we picked up on that.
And I played with Mike before that, who was exactly the same. In fact, if anything, more so than Genetics. So playing with Mike into Genetics was like really easy like that for me. And Genetics had his rookie year. I'd say Quig is a bit further than Genetics was, like after 6 months of playing, or 7 months. But I think Quig has all the right calls.
Right.
But sometimes it's like other people are talking, other people feel like they need to like over correct from when Genetics left.
Right.
And I think a lot of the time we could just like sit there and listen to Quig, or I don't know, you just like make the obvious play, as opposed to, I think sometimes we try to reinvent the wheel a little bit with 3 people talking.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta be quiet and let that confidence come through. And maybe that is a lack of confidence or something that you have to work on. Just, guys, we're doing this, I don't know, I'm not in the comps, but
I was gonna say savage.
Yeah, just like, guys, we're doing this, everyone else shut up. And sometimes what I've learned is sometimes, and I would argue most of the time, it's better to everyone just zone in and listen to a bad call than the clutter, right? Where it's just like, can we fight this? Can we go in? And everyone sort of has to.
And that's really hard, especially when you've got like, I mean, for example, like Yark or Harry, they're really like stubborn in a good way players. So if they know something's bad, they're just not going to do it. So it's like that whole, let's like experiment with this bad call, do it, fully commit as a 5, do it. Have it fail and just learn from it.
Right.
Or 4 of us commit to a bad call, be like, we didn't even do it as a team. Of course it's going to fail.
Yeah.
Even if it was a good call. So it's like, for me, I feel like that happens a lot with like more stubborn, like they know if something's good or bad.
Right.
So that's, I think, maybe one of the biggest problems the Kings are having, I think.
And that's just building up synergy, right? I'm sure you guys, over time, it's going to take a bit. Which is interesting because a lot of roster changes, sometimes we see that honeymoon period where immediately everything just meshes and it's like the team just completely know how they want to play. When in reality, more often than not, it's like it's going to take a bit to build up like how you guys want to play together. Tiggs, I'm curious, as a mid laner, someone who kind of gets to witness both sides. You look over, you see like Variety and Twig 2v2 and over on blue. You get to see the other side. How's it feel being the middleman? Are you just AFK farming, getting a late game and sort of witnessing all of this?
I mean, sometimes you're just watching the world burn around you in the Kings at the moment, but it's fine. I mean, we're battling through it. I feel like we're slowly getting to a good spot
where you want to be.
Yeah, I think like I would like the main thing with the split was qualifying for the tournament, and having to
not have to battle through.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think we're in a pretty good spot, and we're coming to terms with some of the things we want to do, and we're kind of ramping up at the right time, I think, which should be good, hopefully.
I mean, from what I've seen, it's like whenever you're in this moment, we always have to do like some sort of like caster predictions, and it's just always wrong because so many teams put in the work right now. They come out, completely change squads. We have no idea what they've been practicing, and we're supposed to like guess who grinds the hardest, like in the not the off season but the before season leading up to Worlds. So this would be the exact time to heat up if you guys are worried about it. I do want to go over a few more of the patch notes changes because we touched on a bit, not necessarily the builds because that was a bit obvious, but some of the gods that got touched on. We already talked about Kakolin, probably not enough. The Warriors are just not in a great spot yet, but still testing required. AMC coming back in, a lot of the hunter mids, like Uller is kind of climbing back in. Do you think AMC, just literally the swarm, his 2 travels faster now. Is that enough to put him in a possible mid lane situation? Because no one's playing him in duo lane.
I don't feel like it was a hard ability to hit in the first place. Usually, if you used it, you usually hit it. But I mean,
you usually hit it. That doesn't mean the general population.
I guess, but no, I mean, any small change is nice. I mean, it's technically a 50% higher chance you're going to hit it now. So it's good, I guess.
All right. What about Atlas getting a little tankier, Quig? That's something that tickles your fancy.
Ooh, the 4 prots at level 20.
Yep.
Yeah.
Extra 0.2 and then increased power reduction per stack from 2% to 3%.
Yeah, the power reduction change is kind of a big deal, actually. The prop buff change, or the prop change doesn't matter, but like being able to reduce, like it's like 10% increase, right? Like
yeah,
that,
after the
it stacks up.
assuming you
max
tick it
rank.
the whole time.
Yeah, max rank, like it's not, you're not going to get like max stacks every time, but like on like a siege or something like that, if you drop that down, like they're not going to walk into it. You're basically just like halting a siege for an entire wave with like one like support move. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think that change actually does matter a lot.
All right, well, maybe we'll see more Atlas. And I like how I look towards Quig when in reality, people have been playing him in mid like a fair bit too. I could have asked either one of you.
Yeah.
Chalk changes. I forgot. The 2 warriors that are looking clean. There was a bit last year when Chalk was being played in the jungle. You see any reason why you would pilot Chalk in the jungle? I mean, it's 2 apparently chunks now. I haven't tried it yet.
If Sino starts playing it tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised. He loves it. The gods had a lot of buffs in a row.
Right.
I think Arendite got a buff too.
It did, yeah.
If you want to pair that with the Chuck buff, if you want, he can run around faster, and he's a really good Arendite god. So, like, maybe there's I'm sure you could play it solo too. I think with solo, it's about you need warriors that don't get owned by mages, and I think he might be one of them. Who knows? I have no say at all. Like right now, I just need.
Yeah, I mean it's almost impossible
scrims,
just looking at numbers.
I'd be surprised if he wasn't like the most like played more warrior, maybe.
Yeah, just like play rate.
It's also really good with corrupted bluestone that got buffed as well.
That's true.
Yeah,
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it stacks really well with the attack speed slow on his 3.
We got 7% movement speed added to Arendite, and then the passive movement speed from the ult goes from 30% to 20%. So you get 7% all the time now, but the ult gets a little bit worse, or the effect rather. And then of course, bluestone. So maybe some solo lane action possibly. Manticore spikes gets a buff. Mantle of Discord gets a buff. So clearly tanks are trying to get into a better spot, or at the very least, giving some extra, utility towards the solo lane. And, if you want to build Mantle of Discord and support as well, it's a possibility.
I think speaking of utility, that Relic Dagger change was like low key probably one of the bigger changes in this patch. The 10 seconds
cooldown reduction from 40 seconds to 50 seconds. Yeah, I mean, I think with the glyph changes, clearly we're trying to get some action for that item.
I think that item is going to be seen a lot more now.
It was just like tier and solo lane that would pick it up, and now I think every once in a while you see like a bewitched dagger. You think the extra 10 seconds, that could definitely change some things up. I love these conversations because obviously once everyone gets their hands on things, you can test, but it's nice to hear the speculation because the only feedback you get when you watch patch notes is Twitch chat, and they just say, this is broken, that's trash, and it's like, well, you guys are the lowest percent that I want to talk to right now. I want to listen to the pros and see what they have to say about sweeping meta changes. Any sleeper gods you think that might pop their way up at Worlds that no one's got their eye on? I mean, obviously there's no way you could know this, but like for example, when solo lane started coming out, I thought Ao Kuang solo would be a big deal. No one played him, no one cared. They didn't like the vampire or the Vamp Shroud build on him. Any sleeper picks that you guys think might, just no one's got their eye on right now that could come in?
I'm calling it right now. I think Kronos is coming back. He's been out of the meta for too long. He's coming back.
Okay.
People haven't played against him for a while.
That would be a big deal. I played Kronos literally yesterday, and we have 6 before 10 minutes. Someone DC'd on my team. It was probably because of the Kronos.
Yeah. You get that passive stack, a little an honest 50-minute game. That's a lot of power for free.
That is a lot of power. How many games have you played that went to 50 recently?
Macro Kings, baby. We're back. We're back.
Just play for 50 minutes. We can get there. Our Kronos is scaling.
Kronos is stacking.
Everybody's be so happy. Our Kronos, keep scaling. Nice.
That's actually pretty big brain. If you guys just go full late game, play as much stall as possible.
Level 20 stall. That's it.
And you guys just try to hold on as much as possible. Tangs, you got a prediction?
Give
me your most out of pocket, like Anubis meta, something that that wasn't even that crazy considering the mages, but something that you think could come in. that no one's got their eye on. I think there was, 3 gods that did not get played. And it was
Danza?
Danza, Scotty, and a mage that I forget.
It
So,
was Chunga.
okay, there you go. There we go. 3 gods that did not get played. Any one of those climbing into the meta at the last second.
I'm surprised there's not people playing Chang'e solo. I thought it would have been pretty good this last
The mage meta, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what, I mean, there was
I know Kelly played one game, I think, of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was
Ooh.
maybe it wasn't Jungle. There was a lot of mages that I thought could be played in this solo meta, but from when I talked to the solo laners, they were just like, we just want range, bro. Like if it's not like Raijin or Morgan Le Fay, we don't care. And I was like, I guess if you guys just want to outrange everyone and be tanky as hell, then that's kind of your prerogative. So they just stuck to those 4 mages that everyone was playing.
Mm-hmm.
I would love, as far as like gods you want to cast, Thor, obviously, big Thor ults are a big deal. Scylla coming back in would be sick. I don't love the idea of Cuckoo, like Kukulkan, like, it's whatever.
He's in like every ranked game, but he was only picked like twice in comp.
I mean, when I saw like Breastplate and Book of Thoth, I was like, we're about to see so much Cuckoo.
Yeah.
We didn't, but
I think the discrepancy between ranked and the SPL on that god is the highest of any god. Because he's in every ranked game, bro. You can't slow anyone.
it's something about, the fact that number 1, he can not be slowed at all during his 2 anymore. He's completely slow immune. But whenever I play in ranked, everyone goes, I can't hear that ult. I can't, that hits me every time. I'm always getting hit by that ult. And then in comp, it's like, I use it on Fire Giant, bro. Like, that is what this ult is for. It's
That's
not
true.
It is not for getting killed. It is used for objectives. So maybe that's the big difference maker. And then, man, I had one more. Oh, I do not want to see Cthulhu. Cthulhu needs to go. If I have to cast Cthulhu games at Worlds, I'm gonna be so mad. I don't know if you guys, when Cthulhu's meta, does that not just drive you crazy? Like maybe.
And then people start playing Morrigan too.
Double Cthulhu.
And then the junglers start playing Daji with it. And it's just like, what, you don't even know what you're looking at.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because we have 2 options. You either cast from the Cthulhu, like Doug takes us to the Cthulhu's point of view, and you miss 90% of the fight. But the other idea is there's 2 Cthulhus, and you
just can't see anything.
You can't see anything.
You're like, I guess they're probably winning. I guess.
Yeah, I'm like, there's a knock up in there, I'm sure. Like that's crazy. It's either you're winning off that ult or you're losing off that ult. Final thoughts. It was a beautiful time talking with you guys. I'm glad that not only are you, positive vibes, right, trying to move forward as quickly as possible and just make those big changes, but confidence leading up to Worlds, which is, the number one thing, right? Feeling good, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I was going to say like final thoughts, but I feel like I just wrapped it up for you, everyone.
Yeah.
I guess I'll phrase it in the way of a question. We all feeling good, moving forward, positive vibes moving, that sort of thing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Always good vibes.
I think we got a lot of big game players on the day. So I think when it actually matters, when our back's against the wall, we can do a good job, hopefully.
That's what we like to hear. So, boys, thank you so much for stopping by. I believe we have waiting room coming up after this. This has been the Team Check-In with the CAMELOT Kings.